Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to the first webinar of the Nifty Mindset Maker series hosted by me, Vinay Brown. One thing to note about me as a host, I'm super excited for today's session, as we will be focusing on the art of being an entrepreneur, the DNA, the entrepreneurial mindsets, and what it takes to really be an entrepreneur. We're joined by amazing panelists, two women entrepreneurs who have an amazing story to tell, one of which is actually a Nifty alum. So before we really get into the meat and potatoes of today's session, I do want to preface, please feel free to listen, take notes, and if you have any aha moments or any questions that you'd like to ask, throw them in the chat, and we do have moderators in the building who will be feeding that question to me, and we'll make sure the panelists answer them. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right in. Autumn, can we learn more about you as an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. So I am a Nifty alum, as you stated. I have gone through the E1 and the E2 program, and I graduated Nifty in 2023. I currently am a sophomore business entrepreneurship major at the Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi. So when I took the entrepreneurship class at Thornwood High School, shout out to Thornwood, they introduced the idea of a business plan competition where I will be able to create my own business and actually pitch my idea to other people, where I never really thought that that could ever happen. And so if you go to the next slide, you would see that I created Express Yourself Studios, which we work to provide a safe space to let children, teens, and young adults use dancing and singing as an artistic, emotional outlet from our outside lives. We help by providing dance as a creative outlet from mental health, because I all know that life can get stressful, but we need a way, we need an outlet. So we use dance as a creative form to start moving and get our brain and our body back in connection. And we want to decrease depression and heighten happiness. You can go to the next slide. So a lot of people think about, well, what happens after Nifty? So after Nifty, I was the first place in the Midwest Regional Competition in 2022. I placed first as the E2 winner in 2023. I became the Youth Entrepreneurship winner at EY in 2022. I hosted Nifty Midwest Regional Challenge, and then I was a judge for the 2024 Midwest Regional Challenge. So life after Nifty could be great if you allow it to. You know, you got to always work hard. You can go to the next slide. And these are some great pictures that show my time with Nifty through the times in Chicago and both New York, because I was invited. Next slide. And here is a overwhelming list of great things that I've been able to do because of Nifty. I'll name a few. Recently being the She Own It, She Biz 2024, She's Our Future honoree, a Black business honoree at the White Sox game on Juneteenth, and being the founder and instructor for Entrepreneurship 101. Just to name a few, Nifty has really set me up for success and greatness, and I could always say 1,000 times, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Nifty. You can go to the next slide. And here are just some things that highlight that different times, different places I've been able to go because of Nifty, putting me in the position to be a great entrepreneur and things of that nature. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I love that, Autumn. And thank you so much for just sharing a piece of yourself. One thing, I don't know if I even mentioned it at the beginning, but I'm also a Nifty alumni. And just being a Nifty student in the classroom, I was around a bunch of kids that had passion, but they weren't really listening to the Nifty curriculum. And I'm sure you were just as engaged as I was. And we took so much from that. I can honestly agree with you. I don't think I'd be the person that I am today without Nifty. And it's not only is it just the curriculum, the program, the competition, but it's really the Nifty teachers. And that's really why we have the Mindset Maker series that we're starting for you all. So hopefully you could take different perspectives and bring it back to the classroom, because we need amazing, fired up teachers like yourselves to continue inspiring and igniting that passion in our students. So with that being said, I'm going to move over to Desiree, who has an awesome story to tell as well. So Desiree, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Desiree Jones. I also go by Des, and I am, as it says, a multimedia producer. So I have my own video editing company helping small businesses edit their video content and any other digital content for their social endeavors, social platforms. I'm an author, so I launched my book, Hey, Nice to Meet You, the Networking Manual, which teaches professionals and students how to network and maintain relationships. And I'm also a speaker. So now I talk more about my journey, my story, and helping the next generation of leaders learn how to network and just maintain relationships, communicate, and really heavy on education and professional development. So those are like my three areas that I focus on. And we can go to the next slide. So who am I? What's going on? Like why? Who cares? Well, for starters, I am a graduate of Hampton University, another HBCU, so started HBCUs. I got my degree in marketing. I joined a sorority, so I'm in Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Jenny Soros out there. So 2018, just graduated college. I was like, oh my God, this is great. I ended up getting an internship to London, so I did a lot of social media content overseas, in the UK for a couple months, which was great. And then, as you see in 2019, after you graduate college, you know, there just gets like a hit, like something just happens, and you think that there are things gonna go a certain way, and then they don't. So for me, 2019 was a very humbling year. I was able to learn more about myself. I had an opportunity that ended up getting taken away, which is unfortunate, in New York, and I'm a Southern gal, so but I knew God had bigger plans for me. I didn't know what they were, as you saw on my face in 2019. I didn't know what was going on at the time, but you know, I just had to believe and have faith that things were gonna change for the better. So then we'll go to the next slide. So 2020 was kind of like a heavy, crazy year. I think this was probably around the pandemic, right before the pandemic, actually. So I was working at the Pink Pig. I was one of my lowest points. I was like, okay, I don't know if you're from anyone from Atlanta, but they used to have this ride called the Pink Pig, and I used to do photography for them. It was just a low point. Like you know, everyone has this low point. That was my low point, but I still kept smiling, so it was great. 2021 is when the pandemic hit. So I was looking for jobs and trying to figure out what was going on. And then like they were like, oh, well, guess what? You're at a pandemic. And I ended up working as a seasonal person at Home Depot. And everyone was having a hot girl summer in 2021. And I had a Home Depot summer. So I was using the forklift, working, doing the plants, lifting up a bunch of mulch, getting my certifications in what do you call it? The reach, the forklift. Like I was the person that would put like the 60 bags of mulch into the trucks for people that were gardening during the pandemic. Like I was heavy in there. But I kept seeing it through, and I ended up working. I had a job in 2022 working at the Motley Fool, which is where I currently work. So I work in multimedia now. And it's been a blessing. And then this entire journey led me to the production and the publishing of my book. So I'm a self-published author, and long story short, this whole journey throughout every chapter. Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, that is a round of applause. God is good. Um, but in every circumstance throughout this journey from 2018 and definitely before that, but this pivotal time between 2019 and 2023, it all involved networking. Sometimes things happen and sometimes you get the rug pulled underneath you, and you have to really lean on your community and lean on things when you just don't understand. So for me, I was able to lean more into my network. I was able to attend different conferences and go to different events, and I was able to just kind of keep the faith and keep hope alive and apply to as many places as I can, while also doing my video editing on the side. So I was able to have different side hustles and build my company to unleash the greatness that is not just a multimedia production company, but also a book. So I'm able to do a lot of different things in the entrepreneurship realm, which is a blessing within itself. So that's a little bit of my story and how I'm here today.
Wow, Desiree, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, I'm just blown away from both of your stories in a short amount of time. We're going to dive deeper into the folds of the brain and the DNA of being entrepreneurs like yourselves. But I did want to highlight something. I really loved how you broke up your time frame from 2018 all the way to 2023. One thing that I noticed by looking at those pictures, you mentioned ups and downs verbally, right? But you just smiled in every single picture. And that really highlighted an attitude that comes with being an entrepreneur for me, right? You're not always going to win. And our students need to know this. They're not always going to win at life, right? You have to understand how to navigate life. And I love that you highlighted networking, because that really is the key and one of the biggest factors, in my opinion, to entrepreneurship. positive mindset, navigating the troubled waters, and just going for it. If you have a passion, it'll come to you. So I love that. I think it's time for us to get into a couple of questions that we have prepared for you both. So why don't we do that? We learned a little bit about you all in your presentation, so that was great. I want to skip to the next question though, because you both have businesses, very different, but I'm interested to ask you, Autumn, how has innovation guided your business over the past few years?
So I would say that innovation has guided me personally because innovation and creativity basically go hand to hand. As we heard, Express Yourself Studios is something that no one has ever thought about. You want me to get up here and dance through my emotions when I'm feeling sad? How does that work? How can I make music and dance make me feel happier? So, with that, innovation has guided my business to the forefront up to what it is today because yes, it's different. Yes, it's unconventional. Yes, it's innovative, but that's the point. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be innovative. It's okay to step outside the box and be different because we don't want businesses that are what's already out there. No, we want to be different. We want to be innovative. And that's truly how innovation has guided me because innovation is my business. My business is innovative. So, yeah, that's my answer.
I love that. And I love that you say that with such passion and fearlessness because it can be scary to go into the entrepreneurship landscape. Honestly, that industry is very it has a lot of competition. It's high stakes. So to be innovative and to step into that mind state, very fearless. I mean, that's again the mindset that we're talking about. It's the Mindset Maker series. So that was a wonderful answer. I'm gonna go ahead and jump over to Desiree. What has innovation done for you in terms of your business over the past few years?
Oh my gosh, it is honestly innovation is one of the key factors of whether your entrepreneurial journey will make or break itself. Innovation is the key. It's one of the key foundations for growth. I study a lot of different companies as well, so looking at how other companies are innovating, utilizing tech, utilizing AI, seeing how other companies and looking at the competitives and how they're able to pivot because during the pandemic that was you were able to see like who was able to stand firm in the face of danger or just kind of fall back. So innovation for me has guided me and pushed me to just strive for the best way things can be accomplished. And honestly, when it comes to this book, like it took me 4 years for this book to get completed. Like I started from ground zero, like, okay, this is in my brain. How do I get it out of my brain and how do I get it into my hand? And even the process of getting started took innovation because you had to figure out like, okay, what works, like what how do you design a book? You have to use InDesign, you have to use different tools. So innovation is a key factor to how I'm able to get to where I am, and it just holds a major foundation for the growth and the future of where entrepreneurship is going in your life and specifically in mine.
I love that answer. And I do kind of have a follow-up question to what you said, Desiree.
Sure.
I actually, both of you all sparked this question for me in regards to innovation. How do you have your baseline business and then find the innovative piece within it and say, that's the thing I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it? And it's really up to either one of you to take that question, but I'm just curious.
I mean, I can go if that works. For me, honestly, I do nothing. Like I don't do anything. And when I say do nothing, that means I turn my brain off and I just go on walks, I go on in nature. Because when you work full time and then you have other things going on, your brain is already overloaded. So the moment you just kind of take a step back, like I love spa, so I'll go to the spa or just do something that can kind of turn my brain off. It allows me to make room for the innovation because, and I'm sure if you're on Twitter X or everywhere, like a lot of people are burning out right now. So you can't innovate if you're burnt out. You have to take a step back to really look and be like, calm down. Let's reset. Let's recharge. We just left the summer. We're heading into the fall. So how can we innovate? How can we move forward? But without, overworking yourself to the point of exhaustion. So that's what's helped me, just making sure that I just stand still. There is power in stillness, and there's also innovation in stillness.
Oh my gosh, so many nuggets of knowledge just dropped. You have to clean your mindset. You have to clean your brain. You know how you have a computer or you're on your phone, you have like 80 million tabs. Like I know a lot of us are guilty. I know I'm guilty of that. It's almost like our brains, right? There's a lot of stimulation happening in the world. And this is true for our young folks too. There's a lot that's going on, and we want to be the greatest that we can, whether it's in academics, whether it's in, the career field, whether it's in entrepreneurship and business. But taking a step back and figuring out how to clear your mind can help you create the power within yourself. That is so huge. Thank you for that, Desiree. That was great. Autumn, did you have anything as well?
She took the words right out of my mouth. Like she said, we have to say woosah, take a breather, take a deep breath, take a step away from life and say, wow, let me regroup so I could produce better things for myself and for a business. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's all self-care, and the more we take care of ourselves, I think our business can take care of us. So just nuggets of knowledge. I love it. We're going to move on to the next question, and I will go to you, Autumn, on this next one. So business is not always going to be wins. It's not always going to be, sunshine and rainbows, right? We're going to face failures. We talked about this a little earlier, but what is your definition of failure, and how has it shaped you into the entrepreneur that you are today?
This is such a heavy question. And every time, someone talks to me about failure, to me, the definition of failure is a chance to try again and be a better version of you and your business. And I'll share this short story about how I was a loser in Nifty when we went to New York City. I was. And I will always say this: failure has brought me so many opportunities that you can't weep about it. You can stay sad. You could be sad in a moment. But when you fail, you have to pick yourself up and try again and try again and try again, because those failures have set you up to where you are now. And that's, like I said, a chance to try again and a chance to be better than you were on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and now we at Thursday, and now I'm a better person than I was. So failure is always a chance to try again and to be better.
That's incredible, and I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing the placement in the Nifty competition. If I could be honest too, as a Nifty alum, I didn't even make it to New York, right? Like I was thrown into a competition and I happened to do well. I think I made it to semifinals, and then a few people just blew me out of the water. They came in with business cards and real prototypes, and I was like, I didn't even think to do this at like 14 years old. Like wow, but it allowed me the chance to observe and take it in and become better the next year.
Absolutely.
And where we are today, I know you said, you were able to do amazing things post Nifty, right? Like I even got the opportunity to go to Europe, just being consistent and developing my business more in networking, as you were saying, Desiree. So that's huge. And speaking of you, Desiree, I'm curious to know your take on the definition of failure as well.
It's pretty much the same thing. Just failure is understanding that it's not the end. It's only the beginning. It's a new chapter. I feel like if you don't fail, you're not trying, because if you
Mhm.
continue to succeed, there's nothing left. You have to continue to fail forward, and just recognize that this isn't the end. So that's my response.
No, I love that. And failing forward is so interesting. And I think a lot of this goes for anybody, but I'm around a lot of people my age, younger people, people older than myself. And I see consistently around people are afraid to fail because it's like, what happens? Like, what if I fail and then people laugh at me? Or what if I fail and it's the end, but it's your mindset. It's not that it's the end. What can you do to circumnavigate that obstacle the next time? You can do it. You just have to think different. You have to be innovative. You have to have that positive mindset and attitude. But I love that. We're going to go ahead and move to the next question because I really want to get into the DNA of both of you all as entrepreneurs. At Nifty, we do have a list of skill sets as an entrepreneur. We call them the entrepreneurial mindset domains. So this is an example that we have up on the screen here for you both. I'm interested to know, Desiree, which of these entrepreneurial mindsets best describe you? What would be, your strong point and your weak point, and kind of explain why?
Ooh, this is really good. Um, I'd say my strong point is definitely being able to have the comfort with the risk. So having that balance. So the capacity to move, it says the capacity to move forward with the decision despite inevitable uncertainty and challenges. Like when we go back to failure, like I personally, it feels like I eat failure for breakfast, but it's like you think about the risk, but the reward at the end is so much more powerful. So I feel like that's my strong point. Um, so, making sure that I have the capacity to just keep going, which is why I go to the spa. Just, I take these risks, but I'm like, all right, Des, you got to see it through and see what happens, and then, hope for the best. And that's also where faith comes in. So I'm very heavy on faith. And then I think my one that I what was it? What was the other question? The weakest one, or
Yeah, more so a point of development with these mindsets.
um, I'd say I'd say the initiative and self-reliance. So where it says the power to take ownership without input or guidance and to work through obstacles independently. To be honest with you, I am very self-reliant, and I think it's important to, continue to trust in myself. So the trust in myself, I feel like is becoming it used to be a little weaker, but I see myself growing stronger in my self-reliance. And I feel like as Black women, I'm just gonna, talk about Black women right now. Like for me, we tend to doubt ourselves a lot. And I'm working on staying firm in the truth and not focusing on the doubt. So I'm standing firm in my strength that I know what I can do, and I know that I can kind of see it through and work through the obstacles, but also ask for help as well. So I'll take initiative and self-reliance, learning that I can't do it all, but knowing when I take the initiative to just try, then that's just the one step forward that can help me in my greatness.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to go to you, Autumn. What's your strong point in this EMI chart and in a point of development for you as an entrepreneur?
Yes, so I would say my strong point would definitely be creativity and innovation. I've always had a artistic brain and I've always thought artistically. I've been dancing and singing and acting from the time I was basically born. And the creativity in me is what sparked this business of mine. And now that I'm getting older and gaining more experience, I can now be creative in the art and the space of business. And I've learned so much about the ins and outs of businesses, how to network, how to, have a business plan and everything like that. And things I say, the mindset I could work on would definitely be my flexibility and adaptability, simply because when things change, I don't really like change. I like things to be strict, in order, in decency, and right. If it's not in my calendar, then I'm sorry, I'm not going to make it, because I need to know days in advance, because if it doesn't fall correctly and it's not right, it's not on schedule, and I have to change very quickly, and it's hard for me to adapt because it's not how I needed it to be or when I need it to be. So it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, let's just go do this. No, sometimes I need to take a step back, take a breather, and be like, okay, maybe things are not happening your way because this is, what needs to happen. And it just takes time for me to be flexible and adapt to different situations, especially bad situations. So I would say that's definitely one I have to work on and really hone in on and become better with.
I love that. And thank you both for sharing your EMIs. I think, being creative and having that innovative grit is amazing. The comfort with risk is incredible because a lot of us are scared to take that leap. And, this has inspired me. I kind of want to play too. So, if I had to say what my strong suit is, I would say it would also be comfort with risk, but I do want to share a story. And it all goes back to when I was in the Nifty classroom. So I'll make it very quick. We were doing a classroom Nifty competition and $100 were on the line, and I had a business partner, and I think we were pitching some sort of, I can't even remember, it was back in the day. But then my partner bailed on me and I was feeling super discouraged. And it was actually my Nifty teacher, Miss Powell, who sat me down And, we talked after school and she encouraged me. It's like things like this they're going to happen. But do you want to be a part of the competition or not? And we talked through it. We worked through the business plan. I got up there and I did the best that I could, and I ended up winning. And I credit that to one, the curriculum, but also my amazing Nifty teacher who picked me up when I was feeling down and actually catered me into that comfort with risk. And I think that's also a little bit of flexibility and adaptability. So I just wanted to put that out there. Like I identify with these EMIs as well as an entrepreneur. And if I had to get better at something, it would definitely be critical thinking and problem solving. I love, Desiree, that you highlighted the fact that, as Black women, we tend to doubt ourselves. I do find that to be the case. But as we continue to prove ourselves, not only, as our background, but as young people, that we can do things. We have the confidence to move throughout the entrepreneurial and business landscape with pride. And we can continue to have that positive mindset that allow us to achieve anything we set our minds to. So that was great. I just wanted to share that. I'm really enjoying this conversation. Teachers, I hope you're having a great time so far. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to drop it in the chat. Let's go ahead and move on. I did want to highlight a particular question regarding, our community, right? So how do you all build community and collaboration as an entrepreneur? And I think this is a really important question. I want to start with you, Autumn. What are your thoughts around this?
So growing up, to me, community was always a big thing because you are, as a student and as a young person, every young person needs a community to stand on, a community to go to in the time of need. And with community and collaboration in regards to a entrepreneur or a business, that's where your customers are going to first be. So let's understand that community and collaboration, especially in the 21st century, is going to be your social media. That's going to be who you network with, who you have on LinkedIn, who you have on Instagram, who you have on YouTube. That is the bulk of who your customers are, and that's the bulk of who you'll be selling your product or service to. And to have good and even great connections with different people in different industries is really how you build that community and build up your name and build up your brand, because us as human beings and as business owners, we are our brand. We are the face of our brand. And who we know is going to elevate us and elevate our business and our products or service. So I would definitely say we need to do that by networking and pushing out positivity. No matter what your business is or what your product is, you want to push up positivity no matter what the case may be and build a sense of community. For me, my community for Express Yourself Studios would be people who are looking for a way to exercise, looking for a way to, tackle mental health, people who are looking for a way to, step outside of their comfort zone and just dance. Our slogan is that we want to dance through life, and dancing through life can really get you so far with your mental health stuff.
That is huge. And I already know there's a huge community with fitness, dancing, mental health. Your business encapsulates all of that. So, building a community through the physical presence of your business is important. And also, I love the fact that you highlighted social media connections, because that is 100% true, especially in this day and age. So you were right on the money there. Desiree, what do you have for us in terms of community building and collaboration, being an entrepreneur?
I'd say building community. Well, if you were looking to, if I me looking to build community, I would join other communities. So, for instance, I'm a member of the Gathering Spot. So they're a Black-owned like social club, but they're for entrepreneurs and people that are in business and creatives and doctors. So that's one community. I've been in a lot of different organizations. So like being a sort in a sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, being in ColorCom, which is a communications organization. So one way to build community is to join a community and, start building that way and continue to do what Autumn mentioned, like, continuing to support, follow them on social media, embrace your brand. And I'd also say showing up. So it's easy to build community by, joining and saying you want to build a community, but it has to be mutual. So you can't expect someone to show up for you in the community without showing up for them, because community is all about, lifting everyone up together. So that involves, collaboration and showing up for other entrepreneurs and supporting them and, investing into their businesses. I was a part of the HBCU Venture Capital Fellowship. So a lot of the people in that fellowship now, they have their own startups, they have their own companies. So being able to just showcase my support and going to different events. So there's a lot of ways to collaborate and build community, and showing up as well as, joining other communities are two great ways that I've done that.
You all shared amazing ways to build that community. And I think I can't help but think this is so powerful for our teachers, but also I always think about our young people. They need to hear this too. Like, these are ways that you can continue to grow as an entrepreneur and make the mindset stronger. So thank you all for that. We have a couple more questions before we get into the amazing questions asked in the chat. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So what is one thing, Desiree, that you sacrificed to be successful? And what was the return of investment on that sacrifice?
Woo, that's a heavy one. One thing that I sacrificed. So I sacrificed a lot of time. So when I was in college at Hampton, I started my business in college. So a lot of times when people were out partying and, having fun, even in my sorority, I was like, I got to build this business plan. I got to go to this conference. I have to go to, this, I have to get this camera. So I've sacrificed a lot of time and a lot of money um, to invest in myself. But the long run, the return is I'm still standing. I've been doing my business for over 8 years now, which is fantastic. Which is, yeah, it's a blessing. And the people that I had to sacrifice, I kind of, they understood. And so they're still rooting for me, along the way. And I'm building my community just by sacrificing, because, the right people will understand. So the return on investment has been my community that I've built along the way, as well as the longevity of my entrepreneurial endeavors.
I love that. And those are huge points. Time, time, time. Autumn, what would you say you sacrificed to be successful? And what was your return on investment on that sacrifice?
Yes, absolutely. She basically took the words out of my mouth. Being a young entrepreneur, so I started when I was 17 and I am now 19, going on 20. And the time that it has taken away from, being a child still, it really it hurts, but I know that the return on investment is truly success. And not having time to go out with friends or go to these parties or hang out with your best friends, everything like that, it truly hurts you deep down inside. But you must know that what you get out of it is going to be greater. The return on investment is always greater. The profit is going to be greater. Your social media following is going to be greater. Your vendor's booth is going to be greater. The amount of people you have coming to your business is going to be greater. So you just always have to know that whatever you sacrifice in the moment, it's going to hurt. However, what you get within the next 5 years is going to be greater. I never knew that not going to a high school football game and almost missing out on my last homecoming would be worth it in the end within 5 years. Now I'm winning various entrepreneurial awards and on so many different, e-boards within college that has to do with entrepreneurship. So, it just takes it hurts, but it's okay. So you always got to remember that, what you sacrifice is going to be greater in the end.
I 100% agree. And those are powerful statements. And, you know, time versus the result. It's just, you have to know what you're getting into as an entrepreneur. But once you decide that this is what I want to be, you're all in and you start to find the gold at the end of the rainbow. So I really do love that. We have two more questions before we move on to tips that our amazing panelists have shared for you teachers. So I'm super excited for that. And I'm going to start with you, Autumn. You meet your 16-year-old self and you're allowed to say 3 words. What do you say?
Okay, so let's see. 16. Where was I when I was 16? Okay, so 3 words I would say. I got 2. Keep going and push forward, because no matter what, you may be tired, you may be, struggling with your business, you may have hit rock bottom. Keep going, keep pushing, no matter what. I always like to say, If I'm not busy, something's wrong with me. I have to stay busy. I have to be on a meeting. I have to be on a panel. I have to be doing something that shows that I'm doing the work so that my business can succeed. So once you push through them hard days, those trials and those tribulations, and you keep pushing forward, you will succeed. Never ever doubt yourself, whether that's a teacher, whether that's for a student. Never doubt yourself because you're doing the right thing to get you on the right track to get where you need to be. So, yeah.
That's so powerful. Thank you so much. Desiree, what would you say as a 16-year-old?
Gosh, I want to tell them leave the boys alone, but I can't. Like that has nothing to do with entrepreneurship. I'll be like, honestly, just trust your instincts. Like trust your instincts, trust your gut, because at 16, there's so many distractions happening, so many things. Like the world is so small. You think the world is so small at 16, so you focus on things that really don't even matter like after a year 2 years. So just trust your instincts, do what you know is right. And I'm proud of you. Like that's not 3 words, but I would love to hear that from my 16-year-old self, or talk to my 16-year-old self. Like, I'm proud of you. There's so many words. 3 words is hard. Like there's so many, there's so many other things to say. So yeah, those are my words.
Both very empowering and, inspiring. 3 to 5 words. I love it. And we do need, as young people, we need that encouragement, and we need people who have been through the ringer and through the entrepreneurial landscape and through, various fields and industries to come back and tell us the inspiring words that we need to hear, because we don't know when we're young until we go through the experience. So, I think that's empowering. I do want to share, because we do have a little bit of time, real quick before we get into the tips and tricks. So for me, somebody that I look up to is my grandfather, right? And he always, to this day, has said it, but he said it since I was very young. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And I've been through a lot of changes in my life, good, bad, ugly. For me, if I was 16, I would tell myself, don't look back, because there was a point in time in my life when I was young where I was just waiting and waiting and waiting. And it was teachers telling me how talented I was. It was friends telling me how talented I was. And I just was, oh, let me make a 10-year plan and not act on anything. But these days, I understand, the world is a lot different than I thought it was when I was young. So don't look back. And once I start, keep running. That's really what it is for me. But I do want to move on to the next segment of things. We will get into the Q&A, but first, I do want to start with Desiree's tips and tricks for our amazing teachers in the Nifty landscape, as they're, giving out the curriculum to our awesome Nifty students. How do we, you know, disseminate best practices? So, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that, Desiree.
I forgot I was muted. Yes, absolutely. The first thing I'd say is confidence. So, using your voice, asking questions. I'd say, a lot of times with students, you have to kind of pull it out of them, like encourage them, let them know like everything's going to be fine. But on the flip side, as a teacher, like having the confidence to know like I might look like a little crazy if I'm explaining something to you. And I'll give you a prime example of that. Like my fifth grade teacher, we're learning about like fungi, like fungus, and my teacher one day early in the morning, she came into the class and dressed like really goofy. And she was like, I'm a fun guy. And I was like, everybody was laughing at her. Everybody was laughing at her. But the fact that she was able to just kind of embrace that confidence, which might have made her look a little silly at first, I am now in my late 20s and I still remember her being a fun guy. And you just never know what type of impact you have, even if it might seem like a little silly. So I would just say have confidence in like kind of being silly, or pulling a little bit of the silliness out, because laughter and joy, that can change a lot of things, and it can bring a different perspective to a student or to a teacher. The next thing I'd say is goal setting. So having goals for yourself, like what do you want, or goals for the student, like what do you want them to, what are your expectations, based on the student, because every student, they might not be on the same like playing field, but having different goals for the week, for the month, for the year, and then kind of just keeping track of them, and you can have like a record of like your progress, or giving out like stickers or giving out some snacks. I'm not sure how you're able to do that, but having just kind of like a bookmark of some sort to showcase the growth of the student, or the growth of you as a teacher, like how many students have smiled or laughed today. It could be anything, like the little things. And then our last thing I'll say is networking, right? So networking with other teachers, having students learn about networking. And I know for me, when I was a student, I had a lot of awesome teachers, and some of those teachers you just never forget. So just continuing to show your support for these students, continuing to know, like, acknowledge that they have a lot to learn, but know that sometimes you can give them grace, and know that eventually with networking you're able to continue to build that relationship, to build their goals, and to build their confidence. So networking, maintaining the relationship, and being intentional about just the purpose of networking, and really just communicating. Like, I know with the pandemic, it's been hard to communicate virtually, to students. So having a way to teach them how to communicate, or how to make eye contact via Zoom. Like, it's always the little things, because these things can add up over time. So when they're in high school, or they're going to college, or they're trying to interview for something, they're aware of, they have self-awareness, and they're ready, because you just never know what could happen next. So those are my 3 goals. I hope this was helpful, and I'm happy to answer questions around any of them.
Thank you so much for sharing your best practices, Desiree, as a professional. And then I'll move to Autumn as someone who was once a Nifty student and now a professional herself. What are 3 best practices for our teachers listening and watching out there that they could take back to the Nifty classroom?
So I would definitely say, first and foremost, I would say consider visual examples. Personally, I was a visual learner, and it's hard to just sit back and listen and take in mentally everything that a teacher is saying without a visual representation of what's actually occurring. So that would be the best thing to, I would say, as a visual learner, because not all students learn the same. And particularly now, we're in a day and age where social media has taken away the attention span of many students. And even myself, I would say the attention span has really trickled down, but now we can use different tactics like examples, pictures, videos, short videos, things of that nature, to gauge the student's point of view and how they can learn. The second thing I would say are keeping examples close to home. So I would say, as an entrepreneur, I like to see people who look like me and who come from the same background as me, or people who I know who are doing great, to give me that example. Because no, Oprah Winfrey, I'm not gonna get no chance to talk to her. I want to know somebody who's close to me and has the opportunities that I've had or have been given, and how are they succeeding? What can, a Thornwood student from the south suburbs of Illinois do? What is that person doing, and how can I look up to them? Because students need somebody. Everybody needs somebody to look up to. Mentorship is a big thing with me, and I've learned from my various mentors that everyone needs somebody in this industry to get ahead and to get further. Everyone needs guidance and growth. And teachers, I think that you guys can be that guidance and growth, to hold their hand and say, I can guide you. I can mentor you. I believe in you. Keep pushing on. And the third thing I would definitely say is the same thing: be down to earth, be cool, calm, and collected. You don't always have to be strict. You don't always have to have a lesson down to the T. We could sit, we could talk, we could understand, the basics of a business in a casual setting instead of a classroom setting, and understand that, we can sit and have a business talk without, being so strict all the time. And, laugh, smile, take a breather, and understand that business is actually pretty fun when you really think about it. It's not all the numbers and everything like that. So business can be truly fun if you allow it to be. So yeah, those my 3 things.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. That is the word for today's session. DNA of an entrepreneur, powerful. I love it. Thank you both for that. I have one last question because I thought of it and I just, I know we're entrepreneurs and we all went to school, right? So, what is one teacher, whether they were Nifty related or not, what's one teacher you could recollect from your past that just inspired you and had a pivotal moment in your life and why? Definitely want to start with you, Autumn, being a Nifty alum.
Absolutely. So I would say it would be my first Nifty teacher. Her name was Despina Liascos, and she now is one of the deans at Thornwood High School. She has done great things, and to me, she was that down to earth teacher that I needed to say, to listen to, and to have an ear, because I sat down and had so many meetings with her. To hear her say that you're doing a good job, you can come to me whenever you need to. She was that open-armed spirit that I needed in a time where, I was scared. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to present. I didn't know if I was going to win. And she was just there for me. She, encouraged me, and I will never, ever, ever forget her and all her greatness that she helped me with. So, yeah.
I'd say for me, when I was in college, I took a business finance class. I don't know if anyone here has taken business finance. It is probably the most stressful and terrible class in the history of classes in business. It's kind of like the organic chemistry of business to any science folks out there. So the professor, his name was Dr. Pyatt, and he was just a meagerly little guy, just explaining things. Yeah, financial accounting, oh, stress, all that. But I actually actually his class was so hard I failed it in college, so I had to retake it. So I ended up, just because I had to see him again, I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" So he knew like the highs and lows of my experience, and he always made sure to just kind of tell me, "All right, these are the facts." So I think it was the tough love teachers. Like those are really the teachers that you really don't forget either, because they help shape you when it comes to when life gets challenging. So I ended up passing the class the second time, and it was great. Like I got like, an A at that point, but just being able to understand that, life, you can't just, it's not going to be given to you. You have to work for it. And he was able to showcase, like, bring that out of me without having to be like, you need to do this. Like, he was just real casual, and I was just like, okay, well, I got to figure this out. And he saw everything. And he actually passed away, which is unfortunate. He passed away a couple years ago, but I will never forget his class because it was just a very life-changing experience, for the profession that I'm in now.
Thank you so much for sharing that, both of you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, our teachers, they're really, as young people and students, they're our first touch points aside from our parents. And so it's a really important job that we have to just make the mark on our young people the best we can. If you have that positive attitude, you put that inspiration in them, you let them know they can learn anything, they can do anything they want. That makes all the difference. So very impactful. Thank you for that. So now we're going to move to question and answers. We do have a couple of questions in the chat. One specifically came in for you, Autumn. So somebody wanted to know, how did you start your business?
So, like I said, during 2021, that's when I started the E1 portion of Nifty, and it came from me. I like to dance. I've been dancing my whole life. And that's when I had to sit down with my teacher and say, I want to have a dance studio. However, what makes your dance studio different? And so at this time, we were just coming through COVID and we were just getting back in the classroom. And I noticed, myself included, and a lot of my peers were depressed. We didn't want to go to school. We didn't want to do our work. We didn't go outside like we used to. We didn't hang out like we used to. And so the depression rate actually scientifically began to rise due to COVID. And because of that, that's where I started my business, Express Yourself Studios. Right now, seeing that I am getting my degree first, so I am working one-on-one with children, teens, and young adults to decrease the depression and heighten happiness through dance. And science proves that through different types of music, such as jazz and encouraging hip hop music, not the negative stuff, we don't do that around here, that we can, become happier and more healthy mentally and physically. And so that's truly how Express Yourself Studios came to be, because it's my passion that I want to dance with. It's also my passion that I want to help others. And that's why together we like to say that we're dancing through life and getting through life together.
I love that. That is amazing. And then there was a follow-up question for you. So what goals do you have in mind for your business?
Wow. Okay. So definitely right now, a couple of goals that I have, obviously, to get my degree in business administration with a concentration in entrepreneurship. And from that, I would love to come back home to Chicago and open up a storefront studio where we will, harbor our studios and different places, different rooms that we can have different classes going on, as far as, a group therapy session, a dance session, things of that nature. And also, recently, I have started thinking about an interactive health and wellness book where I will work on that through seeing how we can journal out our thoughts and, bring that to class and say, we can do these exercises to, heighten happiness. We can do these exercises if I'm feeling sad. We can do these exercises, so on and so forth, to where we can have a journal that we write down all our feelings in, bring it to class, and then we start dancing through it. So yeah, that's my plans right now.
I love that. That's like channeling energy. I'm excited. I can't wait to see that in action. So it's
Absolutely.
very detailed. I can't wait till you get your degree as well. And yeah, that's amazing. So then, Desiree, we do have a question for you as well. With social media being, a huge platform for you that's drawn so many into the multimedia industry space, how would you distinguish your business?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So, one way I've learned to distinguish my business is with myself. So my brand, my personal brand. So for when I started my business years ago, I realized that there was a need during like the Vine days. So you remember, I don't know if y'all remember what Vine was, but there was Vine, and then Instagram ended up, having video too, which kind of put Vine out of business. So at that point, I was like, more people are going to need video soon. So that was like my insight. So because of my insight, and innovation at the time, I was able to kind of build traction ahead of time and just let everybody know, okay, you need help with this, you need help with this, I'm here for you, blah, blah. And we just I continued to build those connections and build that community. So nowadays, I only get hit up from like referrals because people know me, they know what I do, and they know the skill set that I have, and I'm still building my skill set. So I just started off doing just promos. So just, little recap videos of different events. Now I'm working on a TikTok course, TikTok Reel course, for people who need help with it. I'm getting certified in Adobe After Effects, so doing more motion graphics and intros. So I'm able to kind of catapult and grow as a brand. So that way the people in my community are aware that I'm right there with you with this innovation. If you have any questions, I'm here to help you. So what stands out for me and for between me and like other companies is me. It's my brand and what I represent.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. And social media is not easy. It's very hard for a lot of us to wrap our heads around. So I'm thankful that we have individuals like yourself in that space that allow us to make it a little bit easier in case we don't want to do it ourselves. We could go to Desiree Jones
Yes,
and
I'll
get some
take
work
all the
done.
stress. It's all on
And,
me. No worries.
and speaking of stress, if we want to dance it out, we could go to Autumn Harmon. So I love that. Another question just came in. How are you using social media to promote your business? I want to start with you, Autumn, and then Desiree, we'll come to you as well, but this is really for both of you all.
Yeah, so absolutely. Right now, I'm currently using LinkedIn as a personal branding for myself. And then, of course, Instagram. I have separate Instagrams. You always want to have a separate Instagram from yourself and your business, because you don't want to put your personal life on your business Instagram. So I would definitely say with my business Instagram, that's where I put all of my panel discussions, all of my awards and accomplishments, all of my sessions, all of my dancing, things of that nature that sparks the interest of people who are looking for a creative space to express their emotions. And by that, you get communications through DMs, direct messaging, and they can, understand more what the business has to offer and who you are. And so yeah.
For me, social media wise, I've been dibble dabbling more into YouTube. So I've been on TikTok since it came out and it's been fun. So I've been doing different like TikTok tutorials and I put them on my YouTube page, or how to do certain things with Canva. I'll put that on my YouTube page. So I feel like I'm turning more into the educational piece of social media and how to use certain tools and rate certain tools, and having that be a resource. So if anyone has questions, they can see the videos that I already can help you with, or they can, go in the bio and get a consultation and we'll work it all out together. So I've been using it more as a teaching tool and also a personal tool, because it makes sense, because if I work in video and multimedia, I obviously need to be in video and multimedia. So I have my own personal YouTube channel that kind of focuses on all things brand for me and dabbles into different areas of my life, whether it be my book, professional development, or multimedia, how to do this, how to do that. So I do agree having everything separate, but it's really tricky in the media space, because if you work in media and you do media, they kind of intertwine, which is really interesting. But that's why branding is important, so you can distinguish.
Yeah, that's huge. That is huge. We have a few more questions coming in. I do apologize. I know we had a little bit of a discrepancy in the Q&A chat, so it wasn't the chat we were putting it in, but the Q&A box. So I'm so sorry. We did fix that on the back end. We are at 8:56. Desiree, do you think you could answer this last question?
Sure,
And
I'll make it
30
quick.
seconds left. Okay, great. So someone asked, do you feel that websites are important for companies?
Absolutely. Yes. Websites are important for companies because that's usually the first place they would go. If you need them, if you need a resource, put it on the website. All social media, think about search engine optimization for Google. If
Yep.
you have a website, they're gonna like it should be able to pop up. So yes, have a website. Very important.
I love that. So thank you both so much for joining us today. We are going to wrap up. Teachers and everyone watching the playback, I hope you enjoyed this Mindset Maker series webinar episode, DNA of an Entrepreneur. Before we wrap up, we do have a special raffle. Okay, so Desiree, I'm going to ask you to shout out your book in a minute, but the Nifty team did put all of the attendees' names in a raffle, and we just did a randomizer to pick the winner for attending today's session. And the winner is, drum roll please, Melissa Fullwood from the Southeast region. So you are going to get a copy of Desiree's book that she published recently, and the Nifty team is going to email you a request to your shipping address so that we can mail you a direct copy. So Desiree, I'm going to kick it to you so that you can promote your book. Tell us all about it, why it's important, the amazingness, awesomeness. Go for it.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. You get a first, inside look. But yes, this is the networking manual. So again, it teaches professionals and creatives how to network. But it also focuses on the little things like, when it's time to talk to somebody, what do you say? How do you like navigate it? Or, if you're doing a follow-up, are you going to follow up through email? It's a very tactical approach to networking, because everyone's like, yeah, I want to network, I want to network. But what happens afterwards? Usually nothing. So this guide is kind of like your buddy to help you when you are going to conferences, when you want to collaborate, when you're trying to take the entrepreneurship route. It's going to require networking. My goal is to have this as a curriculum for students, especially, Gen Alpha's coming up. We have Gen Z that's pretty much in the workforce. And so a lot of students and young professionals right now are having trouble with soft skills, with just showing up to happy hours, or showing up to, having small talk of some sort. So this book is geared to help you navigate the nuances of networking, not just let's network, but okay, how do you do that? How do you network? So this breaks it entire down. This is the workbook, so it has the book and the workbook in it, so you're able to write down what are your goals, who do you want to connect to. I also have it on Kindle and Audible, so if you want to listen to it, there's an Audible as well, and an iBook. So we have it in all the different platforms different ways. So if you're in a conference or you're at a workshop and you're like, okay, what do I do next? Just plug it into your Beats or your headphones in, and you'll be able to get the inside scoop of how to take that next step with networking.
Thank you so much. And I'm excited to dive into that book myself. You all have the QR code up on the screen. Feel free to scan that if you want a copy of her book. Melissa Fullwood, congrats again. Autumn, we appreciate you so much as a NFTE alum. Desiree, we appreciate you as a trusted NFTE volunteer from the Capital Region. We appreciate you both so much for today's session. And that wraps things up. We will see you next time for the NFTE Mindset Maker series.
Thank you.